Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and I'm back with part 4 of What If Naruto Was Shadow the Hedgehog, guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs over the other channels. Yes, that's correct, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and join the Anime King family. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we begin this now, guys? So, the last part that we left off. So far, there has been nothing, which was rather concerning, as Jiraiya had went through the different lengths to try and locate Shadow. But there has been absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. It's almost like he fell off the face of the earth. Like he was just gone. Meanwhile, that was going on. Orochimaru already suspected that someone captured Gurren. The Sannin wasn't an idiot. He set many safe falls. So in case someone did have Gurren and his people go to check, they would not be tracked back here. However, nothing came, and Gurren was still missing. That meant whoever captured her wasn't able to break her, so they probably end her life. The Sannin was furious about that. However, another goal was on his mind right now, as he had to, yes he had to, get what he deserved, and that was the destruction of Konoha. Unfortunately though, Naruto was currently putting Gurren through hell, as she was physically feeling her mind breaking. He was constantly hitting her with voltage of chaos energy that was ripping her apart. When he finally gave her a breather, the words slipped out of her mouth. She could not contain herself. She was far too broken to not give whatever he asked for. And when he was finished, she begged for him to finish it, which he did. However, he knew that Orochimaru was a very smart individual, so simply going after him would lead to the Sannin running away, as he was not sure exactly which base Orochimaru was at. However, Gurren had gave him everything, plans about the invasion as well. That led Naruto to investigate into that. He was able to sneak within the land of sound. Orochimaru was not here, but removing one of their operatives and wearing their clothing, Naruto was able to get precise detail and information on what exactly was going on. And he was able to find out the truth. Their attack. They were going to be attacking Konoha, and him and a few others would be in the stands in disguises. With that, some time passed as we find Mito. She was quite aware that her parents were going through it right now, searching, as she wanted to do something, but there was nothing that she could do. All she could do now was focus on the exams that was ahead of her. Being within the village, Jiraiya offered to help her, so she took his help and she started to train some more. When the big day finally came, Her mother was there, of course, her father was there. Despite what was going on, they had to support Mito. They could not neglect any of their child. So they were there to watch and support her, unaware that their other child was within the crowd. Soon after, Mito went up against Neji and came out on top after a difficult battle. Sasuke Uchiha made his way down there, wanting those around him to be proud of his actions, as he's been training extra hard for this main purpose, and he was going to put all of that in front of them, so they can see just how much he's grown in the short amount of time, and they were proud of him. However, soon after, the invasion began, as everyone started split up all over the place, starting from the Jinchuriki going berserk, as Naruto revealed himself, as he ended up saving Sakura's life from the sound ninja that was nearby. Guy mistakenly attacked Naruto but soon found out that he wasn't your average sound shinobi, but he wasn't one at all. He ripped off the clothing, revealing himself as he teleported away. Kushina had saw him, as Mito had saw him as well after. His gaze had been averted, and when Mito had saw him saving Sakura. However, Naruto made his way straight towards where they were. Arriving there, Naruto teleported inside. Minato was busy taking on the first and second, as Naruto revealed himself. Both him and Orochimaru went at it as they started a battle. Naruto teleportation and speed proving to be vastly stronger than the Sannin as they move. Not to mention him warping the space around him by diluting time, slowing down time. As they face off against one another, the battle started to turn up even more, as Naruto's rage started to grow. However, the problem came when Orochimaru said who was Maria, as Naruto stood there frozen, unable to believe what the Sannin had just said. Given their last encounter where Naruto had informed him that he would pay for what he did to her, and now the Sannin, he didn't remember. In that moment, Naruto lost it. All the emeralds that were missing, they started to emerge. Orochimaru was shocked. They weren't taken or destroyed, it seems. They had fused with the boy, and now Naruto started to truly unlock the power that was festering inside of him, with the emerald swirling. His hair started to spike upwards as it turned completely gold. A golden aura surrounded him. His power skyrocketed to unbelievable heights, as Naruto started to pick Orochimaru apart. However, he didn't just want to kill the Sannin, he wanted him to suffer. As Naruto Chaos power had gotten so intense that it was able to destroy reanimations, preventing them from fully reanimating their body, giving Minato much needed break from the other two, as he was easily able to take them down now with their missing limbs, as Naruto power skyrocketed to unbelievable heights. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play check of yourselves as we begin this new episode. Minato was very quick to adapt to his situation, and the moment he saw that the power radiating off Shadow was powerful enough to destroy the reanimations to the point that they could not fully revive themselves, as the arm had yet to fully return, which meant it was destroying their physical attachment on a subatomic level that was much stronger than any other attack. The first Hokage rushed in, but with his one arm and his missing right leg, Minato evaded and placed an arm right where his missing arm was. The second tried to knock his head off, but he jumped over, using the opportunity where his left arm was missing to pass through as he tapped him on the shoulder. He threw a kunai when he saw the chaotic energy blazing from Naruto. He then teleported behind the two, having marked them. The second was the first one that he grabbed, placing him right where his kunai landed. The moment he appeared there, the chaos energy reeking from Naruto ripped right through him as it started to burn away his connection, showing just how much more powerful Naruto has become. The soul of the second was finally free. The first stretched his arm out his one remaining arm as it shooted with multiple would release. Minato stood there. At the last possible second he vanished and appeared by his side and grabbed him. Because of his missing arm and leg, he didn't have the momentum to fully spin around as he teleported him away, showing that he already launched his other kunai, as there was a pattern to the amount of energy that was being discharged from Naruto due to his rage. The first Hokage was the second one to get eradicated, allowing his soul to return back to where it once was. The body fully destroyed. The sealing jutsu was completely undone and eradicated. Not even the power of the reanimation, the Edo Tensei, could stand up to the power that was coursing through Naruto. A single punch, his body burst through the wall and slammed through several buildings. It was a good thing that the evacuation plan was already greatly done. Orochimaru slammed into the street. Several of his bones were broken. His jaw was shattered and unhinged. Not as unhinged that he usually does because of his snake-like features by unhinging his own jaw. The pain racked him from head to toe. The Sannin had felt pain, but after his modifications to his body that he pushed to the limit, pain wasn't something that was always there anymore. But now, a single punch could cause him this much agony, made him realize that he needed to leave immediately. Another reason that proved why Orochimaru was such a smart individual. He knew that there was something about those emeralds and about the vast array of abilities that was gifted on that boy that he wronged so much. The reason why, after that encounter, he didn't go up against Naruto again, spending the last few years avoiding him. However, his decision to take Konoha, perhaps the percentage was not on his side for succession, given Minato being here even with the reanimation. But Naruto arriving posed a greater threat than he originally intended there to be. So yes, the Sannin was going to leave, moving through the buildings as quickly as he could. He was going at full speed. However, he heard something. Looking up, Orochimaru saw him, the golden aura surrounding him from head to toe. He was flying. Naruto descended down, wrecking the entire street. His gaze fixated on the Sannin. He slammed his fist into his palm, causing a miniature shock wave. I told you, you will suffer and die today. Orochimaru, realizing that running was pointless. He was simply not fast enough, and that was saying something. Spitting out his blade, the Sannin immediately reached Naruto in a second, intending on killing him. However, this was all to buy time. The Sannin could feel the numerous people approaching, ninjas. He needed just a few seconds to use them to get away, because one-on-one, face-to-face, Naruto was much faster. However, Naruto used the back of his hand and knocked Orochimaru's blade aside before he gripped the metal like it was nothing. Orochimaru pulled back. However, his body started to slow down. He struggled to move, but Naruto stepped In normal time, while the Sannin was extremely slow, his ability to warp space around him and time has gotten so insanely strong. Orochimaru was barely moving. Naruto placed his hand to Orochimaru's chest, his 4 fingers pointed out. He then closed his fist and performed what is known as a 1-inch punch. The Sannin eyes went wide as blood exploded out of his mouth. Once again his back ripped through buildings, tearing through stone and steel. Orochimaru lay there in pain, something that he shouldn't be experiencing so much of. However, looking up, Naruto was above him. Naruto dropped his fist in Orochimaru's guts, causing the entire street to cave in. The Sannin immediately leapt out of his own mouth, using his technique, but Naruto grabbed his leg without even looking. He then ran as he started to rip Orochimaru's face across the ground, moving at such an intense speed. Orochimaru's arms flared as he tried to get a good foot in. He tried to hold on, but he could not. Naruto then stopped and spun him so fast and launched him into the sky. Naruto teleported above him and hit him with both of his arms interlocked. He then teleported beneath him and hit him again. Naruto was teleporting and moving so fast, all that could be seen was a golden blur, as it created a miniature sun, because Naruto was going around Orochimaru in a circle. With the Sannin trapped inside, all he was feeling was anguish, agony, pain. The final blow wrecked another building. As Orochimaru lay there, blood was leaking from him. He was barely moving, his body had been pulverized. Once again he slipped out of his own mouth. However, the problem was, the Sannin still felt pain. That was impossible, he thought to himself as he spat thousands of snakes, using them to cover him. However, Naruto zipped right through them, the aura around him burning them to cinders. Naruto ripped into the earth and gripped Orochimaru by the back of the head and flew out. The Sannin twisted himself around Naruto and wrapped his body around him. He tried to inject poison into Naruto's neck. However, red flames ignite around Naruto's hand. Each of the emeralds possess a control over certain elements, and the red emerald was given Naruto control over fire. It had different properties as well, but this is what he needed. Naruto stuffed said attack right down Orochimaru's throat, causing the Sannin to recoil in agonizing pain. As the flames burned through him, they were burning his body to cinders. He immediately leapt out of his own mouth, suffering 3rd and 2nd degree burns as well. This time though, he collapsed down to the ground. He reached his limit for using that technique in such a short amount of time. Orochimaru was getting desperate. Running through hand sign, he summoned 3 massive snakes. The moment he did so, he collapsed. The technique that he was using, it took a lot of chakra, an extreme amount, so that upon summoning these snakes, as Orochimaru was on the top of the last one, he spoke. "Get me out of here," he said, as the last 2 descended upon Naruto to completely erase him. However, one of the many abilities possessed by the purple emerald was telekinesis. As Naruto held his hand out, the broken buildings, the iron, they ripped out of it and forged together. Naruto threw the both of them as it ripped through the head of the snakes. The last one tried to slither away, but the ground underneath it was rooted out, lifting it into the sky. The solid earth then encased its body, wrapping around it as Orochimaru fell to the ground. The Sannin forcefully got back up. For the first time in a long while, he looked so defeated. He was sweating, using up so much of his power by swapping his body 3 times. That took a large amount of chakra to come back fresh. Wounds that could literally kill you, he could defy those options by simply going through his own technique. However, the amount of chakra it took to repair him coming out whole was too much. That is why it is not something that he could use so quickly, and yet, in this situation he had to. Naruto was in front of him. By teleporting right towards him, the Sannin tried to back away. "You don't even remember her name," said Naruto. "I've spent years searching for you, hunting you down. And even after our last encounter, you stand there and you forgot the entire reason why I want your utter destruction. The only person in this world that I found myself caring about. The one that showed me that humanity wasn't worth destroying. That not everyone is like you. You're the reason why she's dead. You've tortured so many. You single-handedly killed all of those kids without battering an eye. And if I wasn't a success, I would be dead right now as well. People like you deserve to suffer in ways that I can't even describe." Orochimaru opened his mouth as a snake shot out. A blade was coming out of its mouth to end Naruto's life. However, it proved to be useless like every other thing that the Sannin has done so far, as the blade simply slowed down to a stop. Naruto gripped the snake and ripped it apart with his bare hands. Orochimaru, realizing that he was in a bind, decided to use emotional blackmail. "So that's it," he said. "You spent all these years, and what now? About to end my life," he said as he chuckled at Naruto's anger. "That girl that you spoke about. Of course I forgot her name, because just like you, she was a part of my experiments. Nothing truly important, but you've taken that and you've become probably one of the strongest beings to ever walk this earth. That power that you so casually have stored inside of you. It is said that they're from gods, created by beings that were beyond this planet itself. And yet, what have you done with it for the past couple of years? You spent all this time obsessing about ending my life. But what then? What exactly will you do with this power? What exactly will you do with yourself? This girl you care about so much. Do you really believe that this is a path that she would want you to go down? Given how much you speak like she's a caring person, do you really believe that your actions are justified in her name? At this moment, you're only making a mockery of her name. You've taken on the persona of Shadow. You've slaughtered many across the elemental nation. Your hands are stained with blood and corrupted just like mine. So don't you dare stand there and act like you're any better. Because you want to know what I think? I think that you enjoy what you're doing. You enjoy knowing that you're above humanity. I've heard the quotes that you go by. You're a special life form, above the beings around you. I think you enjoy it, and you justify your actions by saying that you're killing in her name. But is that really what you think she would desire? Do you think she would be happy knowing the monster you've become? Why don't you take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself that question, Orochimaru said, as he slowly backed up. Seeing that Naruto has went completely quiet. "Are you done?" Orochimaru's eyes went wide. "You think I care about your opinion? You think I don't know exactly what you're doing? Right now, I can feel that your power is extremely low. And you've witnessed with your own eyes that there is nothing that you can do to defeat me. Because, as I said once before, I will rip you apart with my bare hands. And I intend to follow through with my words. I did not come here to waste time, said Naruto, stepping forward. I just wanted you to suffer. I wanted you to realize that it did not matter what you do, you would never best me, and now that you've seen that, Naruto plunged his hand into Orochimaru's stomach. He gripped onto him. The Sannin slammed his fist in Naruto's face. 1, 2, 3, 4, but Naruto was holding onto him tight. The Sannin then started to feel pain. What are you doing? He said, as Naruto looked up, and a smile graced his features. I don't know, he said. He kicked the emeralds and his power into overdrive. The power surged as Orochimaru released a scream that ripped directly from his soul. The power lashed onto the Sannin existence. Immediately, the sound fort that was being occupied by the Anvus all came to a stop. But not only them, Kimimaro, that found himself at the base, as he wasn't here, suddenly dropped to the ground, pain coursing through the mark on his neck. It was affecting them all. Orochimaru placed a soul fragment in each of the cursed marks, and that soul fragment was feeling the same pain that Orochimaru the original was feeling, which was kicking back to the members that had it. So the pain started to spread. All kind of cracks started to appear on the Sannin's body from head to toe, all different color of light. Light started to shine through all of the cracks as the power started to slowly leave Naruto as he was, pushing it so hard. The Sannin released a violent scream as his body swelled, the cracks covering him completely. He then exploded. It was a good thing that no one was around, as his body literally exploded to pieces. The people that were watching from the distance, the Konoha ninjas that were there, as the others had to move to the battlefield, all of them had seen that this person was fighting Orochimaru, while causing a lot of collateral damage. There was no one around to suffer this wrath. The few that remained behind wanted to see the aftermath of the battle, wanted to know where his allegiance lay. Then on the other hand, he was fighting the Sannin to kill. And as Orochimaru exploded, they start to advance. When the smoke and dust clear, Naruto was sitting down. Every single member that possessed the mark had passed out. As the curse mark did not vanish, but the soul fragment inside of it exploded, causing their body to go into overdrive, and the pain knocked them out. Naruto sat down where he was, within the rubble, within the destruction. He simply sat down. He was back to normal. The power was no longer coursing through him or around him. He just sat there in complete silence. The ninjas landed around. It was just 4 of them. They did not engage. As they stood there, one of them stepped forward. "What is your purpose in this invasion?" he said. He asked the question in a non-threatening way, after seeing what he just did to Orochimaru. Naruto looked down towards his hands. After all these years, he finally got his revenge. Every single time he spoke about it, he questioned himself on what would he do afterwards. What would follow that revenge? As he sat there, and now the real questions were coming. Questions that he could not really answer. However, hearing the fighting still going on, he realized that it wasn't done yet. He made a promise that he would annihilate every single existence of Orochimaru, that he would slaughter every single thing that Orochimaru was, or whatever he might be. Naruto got to his feet. He looked at the ninjas around him before. He pulled that power out once again. and he felt it. His body surged with a golden energy, his hair turning back gold. The next moment he took off to the skies. It was in that moment that the massive one-tails erupted within the forest. Naruto was about to leave and slaughter all the sound ninjas that were fleeing for their life. As much as Minato wanted to speak with his son, he had to give orders to his people so they could contain this force. And they were doing so wonderfully until the one-tails erupted. Having been defeated by Sasuke and Mito in the forest, Gaara lost control. Kushina didn't have the ability to easily restrain it with her chains, giving her chakra a problem. However, there was still many more that could subdue the beasts, and they were racing towards the scene. As Mito and Sasuke looked head up to the beast, something flew right into it, knocking the thing off its feet. The beast crashed down to the ground the next moment. It started to rise and rise. Everyone was alarmed as Naruto was lifting the thing as he flew it straight into the sky. The next moment, he released it. Seeing the thing falling, Naruto surged with chaotic energy. When he slammed into the one-tail's stomach, Shikaku roared out in pain. Boom! An explosion that ripped through the forest. Naruto had ensured to move the one-tails away from Mito and Sasuke, having seen the kids. He didn't know why, but it was the same girl that he had seen, the one that spoke to him in that forest at Land of Wave, and he had no idea why he intervened. Despite the vast distance that he cleared between them, the backlash was so great that they had to hunker down. Debris and violent winds erupting from the spot. When the smoke and dust cleared, Gaara was on the ground in pain. The body of Shikaku could not stand up to the chaos energy that Naruto was releasing, and it was destroyed. The power returning back to Gaara on a much smaller quantity. It would take some time for Shikaku to relinquish his power once again and regrow his strength. As Naruto, chaos energy was able to destroy the fabric of chakra. To be able to destroy energy itself was a tremendous feat on its own. Mito already ran, as she ran straight towards the scene. Naruto stood over Gaara, who looked absolutely terrified. He started to scream and shout. He refused to get his existence erased. As Naruto looked down towards him, he simply stood there, with his goal now achieved. Despite not caring much what the Sannin had said, the words about him slaughtering many in his past returned back to him. As he thought about Maria and what she would think, that started to weigh on his mind a bit. As Naruto stood there, Gaara trying to escape from what seemed to be his certain death. As Naruto simply stood there, Mito finally arrived on the scene. Having moved as fast as she possibly could, she seemed even out of breath from running so fast. "It's you," she said to him. "I knew it was," she said, as she seemed so happy. Gaara stood there as he watched the interaction between the two. Through his rather mental state, looking at the reaction from this girl, Naruto started to walk away. "I'll leave this to you," he said. "Wait, you can't go. We spent the last months searching for you." Naruto was confused by that. He turned towards her with one question. "Why?" "Because you're my brother," she said. Confusion marred Naruto's face, not quite understanding What the hell she was talking about? I have no family, he said. No, you're wrong. You were kidnapped as a baby. My mom and dad told me. Despite not knowing you, I knew that there was something familiar about you. Perhaps it's a bond that siblings share. You can't leave, she said to him. Naruto wondered why this girl was lying to him, refusing to keep up with her nonsense. As he turned his gaze, he was pulsating with so much power that he could feel the people in the far distance fleeing away. Naruto took off. Wait, she said. But he was already gone. He was much faster than her, leaving Gaara there. Mito was at a crossing path. She knew that she couldn't catch up with him, but there was the enemy and she couldn't allow him to transform again. You, stay away. Stay away from me, Gaara said. Mito looked towards him and the state that he was in. Strangely enough, she was just like him. Not in a personality way, but they both shared a burden. As she looked on him, he looked so depressed, so sad, so afraid. Meanwhile, as the Konoha ninjas were chasing the sound ninjas off, the ones that were restrained are the ones that were killed. The numbers had dropped significantly. The remaining few found themselves leaping away through the trees, trying to escape. That is until they saw something. What seemed to be thousands of arrows. Strange golden arrows appear above head and descended upon them. It was a massacre. Naruto removed every single one of them. The Sand Boy was not his concern. His desire to kill him was complicated because of his mind thinking about what the Sannin had said and his own personal, mental state. But these maggots, these filth, they aside with Orochimaru and they deserve the same fate. As the Konoha ninjas caught up to witness the massacre, they gazed up into the sky to see who committed said massacre as Naruto flew off. Time skip. The next few days were pure destruction. A lot was taking place back in Konoha, but on the other side, going from nation to nation, having got the information that he desired from Gurren some time ago, and now that the Sannin was dead, Naruto was free to let loose. One by one, Naruto went to the bases. Kimimaro was stronger than the others, but like the others, he fall. Naruto was wiping out bases from bases, annihilating hundreds, going on into thousands. One after another, screams of chaos could be heard as Naruto was ripping through these bases. His power still not fully controlled, as it was erratical, destructive, chaos. He had to rein in all that power. He didn't have 100% control at the moment, but he had enough control to annihilate those that stood in his path. Orochimaru had hundreds of bases, and in a day Naruto wiped out around 10 of these, slaughtering every single remain that Orochimaru had. In the process, he unknowingly freed prisoners. Back at Konoha, as a few days passed by, Mito was sad. The fact that she told him that he was her brother and yet he still went away. She relayed this on to her parents, who tried their best to cheer her up, as Minato was able to hear a lot of what Naruto had to say. He relayed the pain that Naruto was going through back to the others. It seems like Naruto had a friend that Orochimaru killed, the one that started all of this. That had sent him down a frenzy. He was simply confused. Minato tried to justify most of Naruto's actions. He was confused and in pain. which made Kushina's motherly instincts cry out more to save him. As they start to receive news from the outside world. As for Gaara, he had returned back to the village. No more fighting was needed. Instead, they simply needed to talk. Mito spoke to him. Perhaps seeing, perhaps knowing and understanding what it truly felt like to be a part of a family. To understand that you don't have to be alone. She saw great changes in Gaara on that day. And her words, her compassionate side, was able to bring that great change. Minato promised her that they will have their day, and Naruto will return back to the village. He himself saw the anger that his son had, not to mention the 4 ninjas that saw Naruto, told Minato the exact details of what happened. And Naruto was simply confused, as he didn't seem sure what to do now. They could get that from many things. Minato being smart enough to understand it because of what he heard Naruto has been through. And from what he could see, Naruto was more than capable of taking care of himself. However, they needed help. Several ninjas had gotten injured while he was trapped away inside of that dome. Minato believed that it was time that she returned, so yes, he sent Jiraiya to bring her back home. That was none other than Tsunade. As Jiraiya had ventured out, he had to find Tsunade fast, as he believed that he had a better chance of getting Naruto back to the village now. Information was flooding in from everywhere. Naruto activities were causing a lot of global economics, because not only was he saving people that many believe was already dead, his mass destruction of reshaping land, carving out sections in different platforms amongst the elemental nation, reshaping the entire environment, from overusing his abilities as the chaos was spasming out of control, given his confusion and rage that was the only thing driving him. Not to mention after what he heard from that girl. That was the biggest thing on his mind right now, as he was trying his best to finish the job once and for all. However, as luck would have it, as Jiraiya got some information about a base that he not even knew was nearby, given his proximity, he decided to go ahead and check it out. This was one of Naruto's recent attacks. As he found himself venturing towards the location, arriving, he could feel Naruto's anger. After hearing what Minato had to say, he could understand, and he could feel Naruto's rage. The corpses that were left behind, little more than bones and dust. He did not leave behind any full substance to show, just burn, destruction, and chaos. Like they were hit by voltage of lightning that was so intense, it vaporized them in a second. Some of them crushed, like their bones were unable to bear the weight of what they were going through. Jiraiya found that this base was more recent than he thought. Noticing that there was a steep hill that led to a small mountain. The Sannin gazed towards the mountain as he noticed the marks. At first there was no footsteps, but he noticed a few. He decided to venture up that mountain. Perhaps it was a survivor making his way, as this could be something that would give them more an insight on finding Naruto immediately. If this person was able to give them the information of all the other bases that Naruto seemed to have. They already had several at Konoha that they were going to use to get information. More wouldn't exactly be a bad thing now, would it? However, Naruto was indeed on top of that little mountain. As he came to a stop, he was resting. With his newfound abilities, he found it that it was much easier to travel long distance. Much easier. He had the information stored in his head. So he simply went to base after base. He went up against Orochimaru's best, those that were remaining. He went to a base where there was nothing but mutated subjects. He annihilated all of them, including one that was much more powerful. He seemed to be the originator of those marks. As it spread from him, Naruto felt a stronger power. He annihilated him. He annihilated the glass-wearing one that tried to put up a good fight, but they were simply not on his level. He freed many people. He was rather aware of what he was doing. He didn't know why. Maybe it was because he finally achieved what he wanted to do for the longest time now and ended the Sannin, removing the blade that he had. As he looked at the metal, it had been soaked in so much blood. So much. As Naruto sheathed back the blade, it caused him to think as he sat down, having a moment of quiet for himself. He never knew his family. Orochimaru never told him who his family was. He believed that he was like the others, an orphan. However, that girl, as much as he tried to deny it, there was a reason why he stopped that kunai. Much more than her just looking like Maria. He felt a strange connection as well. There was a reason why he stayed at Land of Wave. There was a reason why he even wasted his time speaking to her. A strange connection that made him feel like he knew her, but at the same time he never met her before. Could she really be? He thought to himself as he leaned back against a cold stone, when his hearing picked up on someone was coming. He immediately got to his feet as the white-haired man ventured upwards. Naruto remembered seeing him when he flew over Konoha. "You," he said. "What are you doing here?" he asked. He was aware that the man was one of the Sannins, information that he picked up over the years. Jiraiya was stunned, not expecting to find his subject of interest here. "Shadow," he said. "What do you want?" "I'm not here to fight," Jiraiya said, raising his hand. "I've been looking for you for some time now." "Why?" Jiraiya released a heavy breath. "Damn that Orochimaru," he said. "If it wasn't for him, things wouldn't be this way right now." Jiraiya could see the pain in Naruto's eyes just from talking to him. Naruto's face always seemed to be serious, but looking at him closely you could see the real emotions trying to peek through. Emotions that were concealed by anger. Your history. When you were a baby, you were stolen from your home. For the years, we never knew who was responsible for this. There were speculations and many things that prove. Others that would be a subject of interest in this kidnapping case. However, the one that stole you was Orochimaru of the Sannin. Your real family is Minato Namikaze, Kushina Uzumaki, and Mito Namikaze as well. You're a part of Konoha. That is your true home. Naruto was silent, simply looking at the man, as Jiraiya was looking at him, waiting for something. You're just as naive as that girl. He turned his back. I have no home. I have no family. Wait, said Jiraiya. You don't believe that. Otherwise, you'd have flown off a long time ago. Minato told me what he heard when you were fighting Orochimaru. You put an end to him once and for all. But I, being his former teammate, knew the sick, twisted things that he would do. You have a mark on your neck, don't you? Like a handprint. With 6 fingers there. Naruto narrowed his gaze. It's a birthmark that your mother saw before you were taken. Something that she's clinging on to. Her and your father. They've always kept hope. Hoping that you were going to return to them one day, but as the time passed by, the more their spirit diminished. But they never lost that hope. Mito saw that birthmark. I'm not sure how, but perhaps siblings do have a link. Or perhaps it's because of the person she is. She knew that something was up even before knowing that she was your sister. And she was right. Even as I stand here looking at you, you look just like them. You have your mother here and your father's face. Given the scowl, it is hard to take notice of that soft face that he has. Jiraiya said, chuckling, always remembering the remarks that Kushina made about Minato, about his girly features most times. However, Naruto did not smile or anything. I understand that you're confused. Anyone would be in your situation. You've been through a lot. And I know there's a lot more. Anything that has to do with Orochimaru is always terrible. I know he took someone away from you. And now that you kill him, you're wondering what is next. That is why you're going around wiping out everything that Orochimaru is linked to. Killing his people. That's the reason, right? Taking the no answer for a confirmation, Jiraiya was now standing side by side with Shadow. I understand that it's hard. However, it doesn't have to be so hard anymore. You have family, people that love you and just want to welcome you back into your home. I know that things might be looking pointless right now and you believe that you don't have a purpose other than just causing destruction for the man that ruined your life. But I'll make you a promise that if you come with me, your purpose will be reunited and things will be a lot different. With the loving embrace of your family by your side. That's a promise. Those words trigger something in Naruto. Flashback. One day, we'll leave this place, and the both of us will be a family, Maria said with a smile on her face. Family, said Naruto. Yeah. It's people that love you no matter what. People that will be there with you through the hard times, through the good times, through the horrendous times. Given what we've been through, those words might not seem to be much, but to others, it is a lot. However, I am already your family, she said. It has been that way from day one. And I'll be by your side no matter what. And one day, we'll be a real family with a lot more people that loves and care about us. She said with that smile on her face. Back to the present time. As Naruto stood there, he felt something. Naruto has never cried since Maria's death. However, the fact that he killed Orochimaru and got his revenge never truly hit him until now. As tears started to slip down his cheek, he did not make a sound, he did not move. Jiraiya did not say anything as he watched. Tears ran down the boy's cheeks as he sat down, letting his guard down, as Naruto was simply letting that pain out. Something that he's been bottling up for the last couple of years. And now that he finally got his revenge, it was complicated. Jiraiya seeing that. Hey, how about you accompany me on a mission before we return back to the village? Jiraiya didn't know why, but he believed that the both of them would get along rather great. People in the same mental situations tend to react to one another, to bond over their pain. As Naruto turned his gaze, looking up towards the man, just looking at him. Time skip. A lot of Orochimaru bases had been destroyed in different parts of the nations. Many other villages decided to investigate the matter, and thus, the name's shadow was reaching all great heights. Some of the Sannin's acolytes, like Kimimaru and Kabuto, knew Naruto's name. So when they say it, and the prisoners that got free started to say that name as well, it started to spread more and more, putting a much greater target on Naruto's back. No one liked to know that there was a being out there that could wipe out an entire land platform like it was nothing, and resize it like it was nothing. So yes, that was a problem for many. Time skip. Word reached a hidden leaf, courtesy of Jiraiya Toad, as Mito was happy to hear that her brother will be coming back, as he was with Jiraiya. Damn it, she should have gone to help the Sannin, so that she could meet him and finally have a good conversation without there being any animosity or problems, or the pending destruction of the village. However, she would simply wait until he returned, so she could finally have a brother. Meanwhile, the Sannin and Naruto were venturing. There wasn't much people that knew Naruto's real name. The mere fact that he told Jiraiya that name showed Jiraiya that Naruto started to open up to him. Well, he hasn't really told him much or anything as a matter of fact, but a name was a good start. Jiraiya had been forthcoming with the information on what exactly they were going to do. They spent the next 3 days tracking her down. Luckily, Jiraiya had his people on the case, and they found her. They found her in a remote little village that was popular for their tourists, as she was at a bar drinking. Entering inside, the Sannin knew that Naruto wasn't much of a talker, so they made their way over. Tsunade paused what she was doing. Her looks rather young for someone that was the same age as Jiraiya. She looked up towards him with a grumpy look. "Why the hell are you here?" she said. "It's time," Jiraiya said to her as he greeted Shizune. Tsunade gritted her teeth at the man. "I'm not coming back," she said. She was angry. The village needs you, and you for one must know that when the village called, one must answer. Tuh. And as I said, I'm not coming back. I made a promise a long time ago that I would never return to that place that took everything away from me. So tell Minato that I won't be coming back. You know I can't do that. I have to return back with you. Well, I guess you're gonna have to force my hand. But I wouldn't advise that, she said. Jiraiya released a sigh. How about we just talk first? He said, ordering something for Naruto and himself as well, as he started to play cards with Tsunade. Naruto barely drank anything as he sat there. That is when he noticed the woman. She wasn't drunk. She poured something in Jiraiya's drink that came from her sleeve. He wasn't paying attention. Before he could drink it though, Naruto slapped it out of his hand. "Hey, what's the big deal?" he said. "She poisoned your drink," said Naruto. Jiraiya paused. He's fast. Tsunade said as she kicked over the table, right at the Sannin and at Naruto. She grabbed Shizune and burst through the window as she started to flee away from them. Since he arrived, she started to burn the alcohol out of her system. knowing how annoying he could be. She wasn't planning on killing Jiraiya, of course not. It was simply a sleeping agent that would put him asleep, giving her enough time to flee, because she was not going to go back. However, Jiraiya was duty bound, especially to that blonde brat, and he would fight her, and she did not have it in her to kill him. Break bones, yes, but he will try to forcefully subdue her, which would not be good for anyone. So she was going to run away, like she's been doing for the past couple of years, running away from all of her problems. As she and Shizune was moving, well, mostly her, she was much faster even holding Shizune, as she knew this place like the back of her hand, having spent a lot of time here, and she knew that there was a secret underground system that was from the warring eras that would allow her to leave this country. This place was used as a traveling mine in the past. As she ventured down there, it allowed her to cut a lot of time as she found herself within the forest, finally releasing Shizune as she dropped to the ground. As she tried to catch her breath, Was that really necessary, my lady? Shizune asks. To get away from that old pervert. Yes, it was. And we're not done yet. He is a clever bastard. I wouldn't be surprised if she was cut off as something came raining down from the heaven. A bright golden light. The golden light soon vanished as Naruto stood there in his normal form. Even the gold bang was still around his wrist. Now she was rather surprised. How? That's not possible. There is no way that this boy is so fast, she thought to herself. For him to clear that distance, that wasn't possible. How did he caught up so quickly? Teleportation, she thought to herself. As Naruto stood there looking at her. It wasn't poison, was it? He asked. What? What you tried to give him, it wasn't poison. No, just something to put him to sleep. Why would you care, brat? Because it seems like my past is wrapped up in everything. He told me about you while we're coming here. He told me about the people that you've lost. I understand why. You don't want to return back to the village. I don't even know why I'm talking to you. Usually I don't do this, but I've been feeling a lot lately. Things I've never felt before. The village that you're running away from is also my home as well. And it's not a place that I want to return back to. Because I don't even know if I can. If I would fit in with these people that are my so-called family. However, I understand what pain is like. It's best if you run and never look back. Perhaps that is what I should do as well. Tsunade was caught off guard. This person seemed like someone that was always kept together. She could see that from when they first met. He was quiet and not talkative. But yet those words, the clear confusion and something was, who was this kid? Who are you? She said. I go by the name Shadow, he said. Wait, you're Shadow? Shizune said. The both of them had heard of him. Wait, you have family in the leaf. Minato na Mikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Tsunade's eyes went wide. It can't be, she said, as she looked at Shadow. You're their son? I suppose so. However, while that was going on, far, 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 far away from the elemental nation, Naruto awakening had triggered something that not even he or Orochimaru knew about. Orochimaru said it himself. The stories are that a powerful deity came to this planet and created those emeralds. He was right in many aspects, but there's a lot more to the story. A man, rather large, was walking toward a smaller man. They were dressed in white and gray. Their eyes were the Byakugan, and they were not on the elemental nation. They had sensed it, and the smaller man said it. It seems the emeralds are indeed out there, he said. The both of them felt the power, somehow from this distance. However, they had no idea precisely where they were. These emeralds were linked to something much larger than Naruto knew. And he was unaware that outside forces were coming because of him and those emeralds. Would he be able to fight them back? Well, there's a lot of questions there to unpack, given who he's going to go up against. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.